lady was and I feel bad, but she's not so bad.
It's exciting over there.
I said,
I'm so happy. I just wanted to get conversation going. Did you say that exciting before?
because I got so mad. We were yelling at each other. So the one is yeah, right. And the one is I just, good, Karen. I think that's something they take it out of the yeah, they call it.
We want you to need it.
Good evening, everyone. A few housekeeping issues, if we can. We have Steve Goldberg sitting in for Joe Hennessy on Community Board 6. Can I have a motion to approve? So moved. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. I want to acknowledge that this is Joe Reese's first Community Board meeting as the Chair of Board 1. Introduce for those of you that may not know, Melvin Miller is the Deputy Borough President. Sitting next to me, we also have here, we also have joining us today Councilman Danny Drum, Councilmember Karen Cosmos, Councilmember Rory Lanceman, and I know there's other council members that are...
Councilmember
Councilman Barry Grudenchik, you're not sworn in yet? What do you, why are you sworn in yet?
Well, you have to talk to the Board of Elections.
Sit down. Since you're not sworn in, do you still work for me today?
Even when he is sworn in. He never stopped working.
I want to acknowledge the fact that all 14 community boards are represented here today, which I think is great. Councilmember Paul Malone has just joined us as well. We appreciate that. I want to thank everyone for the hard work that has brought us to this point here today. We are dealing with a very serious issue of affordable housing, how we house folks in the city of New York that cannot afford to live, how we deal with issues like parking and senior housing, and the infrastructure issues of the city of New York and all the things we care deeply about. You all know Queens is the largest borough in the city of New York by landmass. It is the second largest in population. We want to make sure our families come to Queens, move here, stay here, are able to raise their families here in the borough of Queens, and housing, of course, is a big part of that. We are talking today about the proposed mandatory inclusionary housing and the zoning for quality and affordability. Zoning text amendments were referred out for 60-day review on September 21st, 2015 by City Planning. In addition to the presentations at each of the 14 community boards at our October meeting, this board also heard the full presentation. Tonight, the Borough Board will vote on these text amendments. All 14 community boards have heard the presentation, and the chairs are here this evening and prepared to vote. So, in full disclosure, I'm going to say that we have probably had, as the chairs know, I don't know, 3, 4, several meetings with City Planning already. City Planning has agreed, unless anybody objects, to basically field questions tonight. And do that because each of your boards have had presentations. In full disclosure, I believe it is 11 community boards have voted against the zoning quality text amendment. 10 have voted against the affordable housing. 2 have voted for each of them with conditions, and 1 board has chosen not to vote. And I think that's where we stand today. During this discussion, my staff is in a corner somewhere taking ferocious notes on what you're saying and what the discussion is, and also from the past discussion to write a draft of a resolution. That resolution, as we're going to be amending it as we're speaking here right now, will be handed out. And so I think that if you want to make an opening statement, city planning.
Could I ask a question before that's made? Each one of our boards has gotten a mandate from our complete boards on how to vote.
Yep.
So, will this make an impact or not? Will you still have to vote the way we were mandated to?
I think we have to vote as a group, and that's really the distinction. Queens has a borough board because many of the text amendments, all the text amendments, but many of the application crosses community board lines, and I think that's important to note. If it crosses 2 or more community boards, it comes to the borough board, so we vote as a body. The 14 council chairs, all of which are affected by this text amendment, will vote. That's an unusual thing in this borough board. Usually it's just the affected community boards. I think the council members are going to make a statement that about whether or not they are going to vote today, because it's going to be such an active discussion at the city council. But I would note that your council members are here, and even if they abstain or vote, it's really amazing. They're interested, they want to hear what the chairs have to say as well. But I do think we should also have a discussion. There were outstanding questions at the several meetings that we've had, and maybe the City Planning Commission would like to answer them. I will say that they've done an outstanding job as the city in being at every meeting we've asked them to come to, and I want to give them really a round of applause just for being I think that's a lot to their credit, and I thank you for that. So I am going to ask City Planning if they want to do an opening statement.
We'd really like to yield the time to the board and its members today. But again, thank you for acknowledging the ongoing conversations we've had about this proposal, even before it was in public review. We definitely feel the board has engaged with us and acted appropriately as you have in this process. We know that there are a number of concerns on multiple categories of issues on both proposals because they are so wide in range. As we sort of discuss this tonight, we'd like to hear more from you on what those concerns are, so that we can improve the proposal as we move on.
I mean, the only thing I'd like to add is I'd certainly like to thank the borough president and all the borough boards, all the meetings I've attended for taking on this complex proposal with a lot of seriousness. I think we all recognize that the challenges to affordable housing and to the problems that the city has to deal with are really monumental, and I think certainly everyone has approached this with a great deal of thoughtfulness, and they really have been, wanting to continue this dialogue tonight, because that's why we do want to use the time to answer more questions.
And I want to, just as an opening statement to discussion, this is not about whether one believes in affordable housing or not. I think that we are clear that people need folks need places to live, and affordable housing, which has come up in every single rezoning that we have done since, I became the chair in 2001, comes up every time. And each time we've negotiated for more and more affordable housing as time has gone on. So I think that's an important thing to know. I think what we're talking about today here is whether this is the right path as it is, and whether this proposal is the right thing for Queens as the proposal stands today. And so with that, I'm going to open up for any discussion that folks may have. Mr. Akiri, Board 5.
Yes, I think I speak for my peers at this table, that this is sort of an insult to Queens because over the last 10 to 15 years, each board and the Queens Office of City Planning were diligently looking at every block, every piece, every part of every district to make sure it fit, and we redistricted, I believe, every board in Queens. We did it deliberately. We did it based on population. We did it on needs. And we did what I think is a great job. The City Planning Queens Office was fantastic. The board members and the board chairs all work diligently to, each at a time or in groups, to redistrict, to make it fit and make it best for Queens. These two proposals are not Queens oriented. They may be Manhattan oriented, they may be Bronx oriented, they may be Brooklyn oriented, but they sure as hell aren't Queens oriented. Joe Hennessy was not here, Joe Hennessy, yeah, who was not here tonight, and myself, probably the two oldest members of this board in age. If I make it to December 30th, I'll be 76. Fortunate that I'm a homeowner. I have a place to live. As an Italian American, I've inherited 11 grave sites to maintain. So I need a car. You know, I visit, I'm a chairperson, I drive around the district, and if and when some great developer decided to put senior housing in District 5, it might be worthwhile for me because I won't have to clean 7 rooms, do laundry, you know, all of that I do now myself. I probably couldn't afford affordable housing because, you know, my $100 electric bill, my $100 cable bill, my $75 telephone bill, and the great low taxes we have in Queens probably be less costly than living in affordable housing. But I could not go move into a 285-foot square apartment and live there, not feeling like a prisoner, and not having a place to park my car because I need it. You can't get from here to there in Queens with public transportation. I could get into Manhattan very quickly. I sure as hell can't get to South Jamaica or Douglaston. I can get to Manhattan faster than I can get to Douglaston or South Jamaica. That's just the way Queens is. Committee Board 5 voted no against the proposed zoning for quality and affordability. The committee was confused, the land use committee had a confusing report, and the committees were split. So the board elected to table the motion on mandatory inclusionary housing. But as I always tell my board members, you're here to vote the best way you know how, and my vote tonight will be no against both of them. Thank you.
Thank you. So second, are we going, Ms. Haber, you want to go? Yeah.
Hi, I'm Christine Hayter from CB11, and our board voted on this on October 5th, and it was unanimously against. And for all the reasons that Vinnie said, that's really why. And as John Young knows, for years we worked together on making the zoning areas appropriate and so forth, and a lot of work went into that. And if the areas are now going to be upzoned to accommodate these sort of buildings, it's going to ruin neighborhoods. Queens is unique. As we said last October at the presentation, Queens is unique. And it doesn't, you can't take 5 boroughs and have the same thing, because each borough is different, okay? And everybody knows that. So we voted against it, and that will be my vote this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Who? Morris? Oh, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Pat O'Brien from Board 2. And you hear the expression throwing out the baby with the bathwater. And there is an element of regret when you have a proposal that contains a number of very good things, particularly as they relate to the non-parking aspect of senior housing. But I would remind all of my colleagues here that the city charter tells each one of us that our obligation is not to look at citywide initiatives. We're mandated to look at what's in the best interest of our community. And even within Queens, we have an enormously diverse geographical kind of a board. We have low-lying areas, we have heavily populated areas, we have high-density areas. Our board voted not to approve either one of these, identifying a number of specific deficiencies, but really there was a more overarching concern. And the overarching concern was that in our board, which in a proud sense, but a fearful sense, we probably have more development than anywhere else in the city. It's exciting, but it's frightening, because there are no schools, there's insufficient transportation, there are no medical facilities, and none of these things are funded or in the budget or planned to be occurring at any time soon. And while these text amendments are only text amendments, they are clearly part of Housing New York and an initial step toward a number of other changes which will result in additional development. And much as a dam that bursts upstream can flow downstream and affect where you are, all of these changes, once they happen, are going to have an incredible and we believe potentially adverse effect on where we are. So the overarching concern, there are specific concerns within the text